It appears that the latest Supreme Court challenge to the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, has been rejected. Yes, back in 2018, 20 state Republican officials had filed a lawsuit to overturn Obamacare. So now the difference is, of course, in this administration, the last administration, I should say, Trump basically went along with these, endorsed that lawsuit. Generally, the White House tends to support these things, but of course, there was nothing about the Trump White House that was normal or usual or kept at all with the norms. And so, of course, they sided with these Republicans that were like, oh, yeah, got to get rid of the ACA. Now, why would they want to get rid of the ACA? Was it to put in a better health system? No, of course not. They just wanted to cut their taxes. One thing about the ACA that I often give credit for is the fact that it did raise taxes on the rich. Rich don't like that, and so they're like, oh, get rid of the ACA so I can cut my taxes. But anyway, their hope, the Trump administration's hope, that was a conservative Supreme Court, which right now exists 6-3, would strike this down, but unfortunately for them, it did not happen. The ruling was 7-2, with Justice Stephen Breyer writing the opinion. By the way, Gorsuch was on the other side, of course, not surprising. Now, HuffPost explains that the heart of the GOP lawsuit was an argument that former President Trump and Republican Congress had inadvertently created a fatal constitutional flaw in the law when in 2017 they reduced the penalty for not carrying insurance, known as the individual mandate, to 0. Inadvertently, you say? Right. Sure. I believe that. Don't you all? Don't you all believe that? They argue that because they had changed the dollar value of the mandate, but not its authorizing language, and because a previous Supreme Court ruling had upheld the mandate only as a tax, the provision had lost its justification on the theory that a penalty of $0 isn't really a penalty, isn't really a tax. And so therefore, their argument is, well, since that doesn't hold up, we just got to get rid of the whole thing and toss it all out. So throwing out the baby with the bathwater, getting rid of it, cutting off about 31 million people, 31 to 33 million people from their insurance. Now, the entire case, of course, was a stretch. It was a Hail Mary to prevent people from getting even the modest amount of help to get health insurance. And again, as a leftist, I think the ACA is not enough. But when it comes to the far right, they think any amount that you get help for your insurance is too much. We're not at all interested in this. We're not all that interested in the ACA. Hell no, get rid of it. Again, so they can save money on their taxes. No, of course. Of course. So now, as I said, I don't like the ACA because of the fact that it's just market-driven healthcare. It relies too much on markets, too much on giving corporations subsidies. I don't think we should have a profit motive in healthcare. But understand that if they were successful, millions would lose insurance that they came to count on. As limited as it is of course many millions of people are still unable to use their insurance because it's still too prohibitively expensive. Nonetheless, there was something. It did help people, and Republicans wanted to get rid of it. Simple as that. And it's not because they had a better plan. It's not because they wanted to do better. No, the only actual superior healthcare plan is Medicare for all. We should do Medicare for all. And understand that even a public option would be a Band-Aid, a welcome Band-Aid for sure. But Medicare for all, it's just simply the best, most comprehensive plan that would actually ensure that we all have healthcare, that healthcare is universal. But again, Republicans say, we want you to have absolutely nothing. They don't want poor people to have fancy things like health care, health insurance. No, you got to work for it. You got to work for it. Well, wait. Like some of the jobs that we get don't offer insurance. Or even if they do, they take half my paycheck and I can't afford to do that. Well, their response to it is, get a better job. Not my problem. Not my problem. That's how they feel. That's how they feel. And so it is both amazing and sad that during a pandemic, Republicans not only kept up with the case to kill the ACA, of course, but also continued to push it to make it so that people didn't protect themselves with masks, get vaccinated when that became available, and continued to push to reopen the economy. And in unsafe working conditions, which leads to outbreaks like we saw, for example, I believe in the some of these poultry meat processing plants. It's also sad, too, by the way, that on the other side, the Democrats failed to use the opportunity to adopt single-payer healthcare as a political position, or even push for the public option using emergency powers, while millions had actually lost their employer-sponsored healthcare during this time, during this crisis. I think Medicare for All is a slam dunk, and I know that there are people on the left that are, or towards the center, Democrats, liberals, that are skeptical of the idea. I get it. New, scary, untested, in America at least, unproven in America, even though we are literally the only industrialized country left without universal health care. But understand that once we have this, once we set it up, people will come to the conclusion of how the hell did we live without this? It's amazing that we, actually have insurance. We can actually see a doctor when we want to. We don't have to pay co-pays, deductibles. We don't have to do any of that. Understand that most people in the world have never heard of a copay or deductible. They get treatment, they go home. No arguing with insurance companies, no worrying about bills of tens of thousands of dollars, or getting treated by an out-of-network doctor and getting billed for that because your insurance didn't cover it. Ridiculous. No skipping out on an ambulance because you can't afford it. Understand that that's what the ACA should have been. It should have been Medicare for all. This is what we should be defending now. But instead, no, we have the ACA, which is a bare minimum. You can thank the Democrats. You can thank Joe Lieberman for that. And now that it's actually survived, the ACA, another Republican challenge to existence, the third one from the Supreme Court. I'd like to actually get on with this and start expanding it. Start turning it into a single payer system, because I was told, we were all told once this was over, once the ACA was secure, that this was supposed to be a stepping stone and that we need to defend the ACA so that we can expand it and we can add more benefits to it before we can try bigger. Well, if you actually meant that and we're not full of crap, well, now would be the time. The ACA is once again safe. They're the last gasp of the Republicans trying to repeal it. Not only that, but we're still in a pandemic. Why don't we fight for Medicare for all? Why don't we do that? Fight for real, actual health care that helps everyone and is truly universal. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.